let's talk TV. The talk of the town is The Last of Us. And I'm going to try and be careful for spoilers because Jesse hasn't seen it yet. Sorry, mate. I know you're looking forward to it.
I've played the game for. I've asked Matt before this. Is it going to spoil it if you tell me what happened in the first episode, or if it's the same as the game? I mean, I guess it's not going to be a spoiler, but yeah. Anyway, go on. So I guess we mainly want to get 80's reaction out of this because she's the only one here that hasn't played the video game. So
yeah.
Yep.
Adrian, are you very familiar with The Last of Us? What did you know going into this?
I know that it is often hailed as the best video game ever made, and it has a humongous following and a really dedicated fan base. I do know that it is it's story-driven, right? The game?
Well, I'd say, I don't know if it's known as the best video game ever made, but it's definitely, pretty much everyone agrees that's the best story in a video game ever. With the first one. The second one, though, is very controversial. They make some decisions that pissed off some people and stuff. So season 2 for this could be interesting. But season 1, without a doubt, like the ending, that's how people judge the show. If the ending is not as amazing as the game, everyone's going to call the show trash. Because the ending of The Last of Us is that amazing. So you're in for a really awesome ride.
Wouldn't it just be the same though, or I guess it could be subtly different?
I assume it's going to be the same, but it's like that. And it's a video game. It's like the game probably goes 30 hours or something. So to condense it, and what parts they leave in, what parts they change, what parts they take out. That's the question. But as long as it has that emotional core that the finale had, I'm really, really excited because the ending of The Last of Us 1 is the best. The crazy, I remember playing it for the first time, and and when there's a decision that's made, no spoilers, there's a decision that's made, I'm like, no way they did that. Like I thought the ending of the game would just be what they sort of tell you would be, and then they do something different. And I'm trying to dance around spoilers here, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then I'm in a shootout, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, what does this mean? There's so many consequences for our actions, and it's such an exciting moment, and you just don't know what's going to happen next. And I can't wait to see how the filmmakers of this show handle that subject matter. It's going to be intense. No spoilers.
Good.
Sorry to get the tangent there, though, Adi. Continue.
No, that's okay.
Don't mean to overhype it as well.
It doesn't matter. It's already so hyped up because I went in with zero expectation, never having played it. I've barely seen gameplay either. Any games that I have successfully been able to play have all been story driven because that's what I am most drawn to. / you already know I'm shit at games anyway, so if they're story based, it's a bit easier for me. But I was blown away. I was sucked in from the second it started, and I think you made a point before we started recording about how you were surprised how long the episode went for, because it felt like I forgot that it was a first episode because it was going for so long. And I was like, damn, I just expected it to sort of keep going. And I was just absolutely enthralled by it. Every detail was amazing. That I feel like the casting's pretty perfect. I don't know anything about the characters originally, but I thought the actors cast were pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For those who don't know, the first episode goes for an hour and a half, which sometimes Netflix will do that for a finale, but that's kind of unheard of to me. I can't think of a first episode that was an hour and a half. It kind of feels like 2 episodes smushed together because it's kind of like a prologue, which is kind of before the apocalypse happens, and then it sort of happens from where the game, the prologue in the game goes for 10 minutes, and with this it's 45 minutes, and then it sort of starts. As for the casting, I like it. I feel like a lot of the characters, they don't look like the characters, but they have the essence. I think I think Sarah, who is his daughter, like they've changed her nationality, and that's fine. She's actually brought more to the character than the character originally had.
Ooh, that's cool.
Because it wasn't much of a character. She was more a plot device than a character.
Yeah.
I feel like Pedro Pascal is Joel. Like I've always thought of him more as a Texan sort of guy. Bless you, Jesse.
A bit coffee.
Yeah, but he's got the same energy. He's got the same, and same with Bella Ramsey as Ellie. They've got the same energy, which is great. It's not like watching Uncharted where Tom Holland feels so different to the main character.
Yeah.
Don't remind me about that, please.
That is literally what I wanted to bring up and ask you guys as people who have, played the game and know it really well. Like, did they Uncharted the show?
I think with Uncharted, like Tom Holland, for his version of playing a younger Nathan Drake, like they tried to change the character a bit to suit him. And it's like, I get that, but it doesn't feel like Nathan Drake to me.
Okay.
This feels like Joel and Ellie to me. They look different. I do get the vibe that it's hard to say because we didn't see that much of Ellie in this one. I'm curious to see how it goes forward. But at the start of the game, Ellie and
she looks nothing like Ellie in the game.
Yeah, I think in the game she's like a redhead with freckles.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
That's
she's still brunette, isn't she? Was she redhead?
I
thought she was brunette.
I thought she was red. Maybe it was brunette. Maybe it was a light brown. But I thought she was a ranger. But it's okay. But yeah, the fact that they meet and like they just don't really like each other straight away. That's accurate.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It's been so long since I played the first one. But
yeah, full context. I played this game 10 years ago. So
whoa.
I feel like the circumstances where they meet is different, but I could be misremembering that. I remember he was told to take her because that lady wasn't able to, but I don't remember that situation. But there are moments straight ripped out of the game, like that scene in the car where everything's like burning around him, frame by frame,
God.
exactly the same.
I wanted to ask you guys that too, because the way that it's filmed feels extremely video game, like very, very. And I was like, surely, and especially for the fans, they would have at least once done something frame for frame.
That was definitely 100% accurate. The moments that was definitely in the game. The driving, the conversation they had where Joel's like laying down on the couch and he ends up falling asleep. That happened. And like, she's like looking out the window. That happens. And there was another part, when Sarah dies, that's how it happens in the game as well.
Okay.
And
that
moment,
surely you can't change that. That is so intense.
Yeah, that moment was pretty.
The only thing I didn't want was like a scene by scene retelling kind of thing. Like if they got to do like a few things that are different from the game, I reckon, because I don't know, it just makes it a bit different from the source material slightly. It doesn't have to be drastic, but just make a few subtle changes just to make it more fresh and original, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely expand, which makes you think they're going to cut out other stuff later on. But like Sarah's, all that stuff with Sarah, you get to see what their life was like before all this. I don't remember Joel ever talking about his job before, and that seems to be a big focus for him at the start. And then we kind of get a better lay of the land of the I'm not sure, the city or village that they're living in. Because if I remember correctly, we leave there pretty quickly in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far so great. I was excited to find out the writer of this is the same writer as the game, so that's why it's so faithful.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's really good to hear.
Neil Druckmann, who coincidentally also was the writer for a lot of the Uncharted games.
No way! Oh my God! Why didn't they hire him to do the movie then? That was a mistake.
Well,
it would have been bearable then.
Maybe after the Uncharted movie, they're like, okay, maybe we should get him for the TV show for Last of Us. It's the same. It's the same studio, Naughty Dog. They're the guys who made Crash Bandicoot and Jack and Dexter. So they're like Sony's PlayStation's number one studio.
Okay.
So yeah, that was great. Because I was a bit worried going into it, hearing the directors. I remember them saying, like, the showrunners were talking about, they didn't want to do any stories that weren't from the games. So they were like iffy if they'd even want to do a season 3. Although they did announce they started working on a third game, I think. So we'll see what happens there. But and like the actors were like, oh, we played the game a little bit, but we're not fans. So when you hear stuff like that, sometimes you get a bit worried. Then I found out Neil Druckmann wrote the show. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why we're in safe hands now. We're in safe hands.
We also have an Australian in the show that I recognized like straight away. Her name's Anna Torv, and she plays Teresa, or like Tess is her name.
Tessa, something like that. Yeah.
The girlfriend of Joel, like the main guy.
Yeah, in the game, she's not a huge. Cool. She's in the game. She's not a huge player, but I think she does pop her head.
Is that the woman that Joel's first with in the game after the time jump?
Yeah,
he's like walking around with her in the game after the time jump.
Yeah, and I think she sends him off pretty much. I think, and then.
Because I barely remember her. To be honest, it's been so long. The only thing I remember is when Joel and Ellie meet. I don't want to spoil it, but the zoo part and the ending. So,
definitely not up to the zoo part yet.
That'll be way later. So
that's another great moment. There's a lot of great moments in that first game. I think there's a lot of great moments in the second. A lot of people hate the second game. I like it.
I was like, nah.
They take.
I was like, nah.
They just take it in such a different direction, like emotionally, and it's like when you finish the second game, it is depressing. Like I felt like shit by the end of the game.
Yeah.
I've never played a game that made me feel bad at the end.
Whoa.
And I think that caused some discourse. There are some other things, but we'll get into that maybe in 2025 or 2026, whenever the next season comes out.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments on The Last of Us?
I just really loved it. I can't wait for more. And I'm kind of glad that the whole thing didn't get released in one go, because I would have binged the living daylights out of it.
If every episode is as long as the first one, we would have been on the couch for a long time.
I'd still be there right now, like with toothpicks in my eyes.
I love that. One change, Jesse, they did do. Apparently, that spores are not a thing in the show.
That?
In the game, there are certain areas where like you're pretty much guaranteed to get infected, where they're like little, like it's like dust mites that are in the air. And so basically, like, you know how there's a scene where they sort of go like underground, and there was like a one of those guys had been there for a while and he sort of had grown into the wall as a plant type thing.
Vaguely, very vaguely.
So there's a lot of moments like that in both the games. In the games, they would have to wear a mask because if they breathed it in, they would turn into one of them. In this, it's kind of more like a zombie thing. If you get bitten, you turn. Yeah. In the games, if you get bitten, you also turn. But like a big moment in some of especially the second game, there's a scene where Ellie, this is not really a spoiler, but Ellie is with someone. They fall down. The spores are everywhere. And actually, I'm not going to say because this could be a spoiler. They hint at it in this episode, but they haven't explicitly said what's going to happen. So I don't want to spoil anything. But basically, there are spores, and if you breathe it in, you turn into a clicker or whatever the monsters are. In this, I think you only get bitten, from my understanding.
Right.
Okay.
So like zombies.
Yeah, they're basically just zombies now that look different. Unless they have some other thing. I read somewhere the only other big change they made is the time period.
Okay.
But
because in the game, I guess it would have was it 2003 that the game actually came out? Is it that old, or was that just?
So the prologue was 2003, and then it goes to 2013. In this, it starts 2003, then goes to 2023. So instead of 10 years later, it's 20 years later now.
Yep.
Are you talking about actually in the game? I thought you meant when the game released.
I think when released is when it took
wondering.
place.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're technically correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I don't think the year really matters that much. But yeah, the thing to remember about this game is that the main focus is the relationship between Joel and Ellie and how it evolves over time and the things they have to do to survive. It really is like The Walking Dead if The Walking Dead was good.
Just before we move on, so did they make the clickers terrifying? Because your first encounter with the tickers is like very life or death kind of thing.
We haven't really
I just remember like it was really a battle to think, oh, can I kill all of them, or am I going to get past them, or they could very easily kill me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I imagine they'll explore that more in the second episode, because in this, most of the time when you see one, it's like during chaos and they're all running about, and they don't like visually. They're not like their faces aren't really pulling apart. They're mostly just got like little like things coming out of their mouth. Okay. So I don't think they're fully evolved yet. Just for context, 80 in the game, it's kind of like a quiet place. They're blind, but they can hear really well. So if you make too much noise, they'll come at you.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, it's very much like a quiet place, those moments. But the show hasn't explored that yet. By the time we release this episode, maybe the second episode would have dropped and maybe we would have had that answer. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
But basically, they have a lot of great opportunity to do some really scary stuff, and they can draw from a quiet place and don't breathe and stuff like that. So
very true. The cinematography is incredible. I'm so excited. Like for this to be a first episode, it's hard to not have your expectations insanely high for the rest of it, but I'm sure they'll kill it. So
yeah, at HBO, I think they went into this knowing that it's going to be a big deal, and they really treat it that way. I do want to say one more thing. On the last episode, Jesse, I did say to you, my biggest fear is that in the trailer, aesthetically, it looked a bit like The Walking Dead. After watching this episode, I no longer think that there's enough variety in locations and stuff. Like in The Walking Dead, I just feel like every location looks like the same overgrown thing. In this one, it's I don't get that feeling anymore.
I also
so I'm very grateful.
Well, I was just going to say before the click I was hoping they wouldn't, go the Walking Dead route, because, after a while, The Walking Dead, it's like you slap the zombie in the face and its head turns to mush. So, I mean, I didn't want to go that route and, make it so easy to kill, because in the game, they're actually, from memory, kind of difficult to kill. There's a lot of, sneaking and stuff like that, and stealth killing, and then when you got the guns, you got to conserve your ammunition and stuff like that. And Walking Dead, after a while, just ended up being ammo porn, or
it was like Rambo.
The zombies had no threat after a while in Walking Dead. So
yeah, in both Last of Us games, you don't want to fight one of the clickers. You want to like hide most of the time. It's very tough to take one on. Shooting humans, no problem. It's fun to kill a human, but with the clicker, you want to avoid it or stealth attack it, or because a fight you're usually going to lose.